So in the previous video, we discussed about levered and unlevered cash flow, and basically levered free cash flow is the amount of cash project has after it has met the financial obligations, and unlevered is before paying its financial obligations. So let's look at this example here. So it has this one has a discount rate of 12%, and in here you've got months 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, and then you put in an investment of 515, and then every month you make some money, and towards the end you actually sell that, and some money comes in. So in this scenario, in over 10 months, your internal rate of return has only been 10.73. So what is the difference between the internal rate of return and net present value? So what do they both mean? So internal rate of return is simply the rate of return an investor would expect to achieve on his property given its projected cash flows over the holding period. So whatever you are holding, and or whatever the duration of your project is, that's what it will be. And in this case, it has the internal rate of return is 8.07 and 10.07. So internal rate of return versus net present value, and what the net present value actually tells us is how far off the mark we are from the investor's desired rate of return. So in this case, the NPV is negative 43,000 something in the levered example, and 320,000 something in the unlevered example. So what this means is that in order to achieve the desired return of 12%, which is this, we'd have to reduce our initial investment in the property, acquisition price, fees, etc., whatever basically whatever our developer's equity is going in there, by these two amounts. So if you've got 800, so in the unlevered cash flow and the levered cash flow, and if you want to make 12% return on our money, that means our initial investment, whatever developer equity is actually gone in there, has to be reduced by that amount. And when you reduce that, the NPV will come to zero, and that is still not good, and not a good investment or not a good project. So and anytime, that's why I said the NPV, if it comes out to be positive, in this example, for if I just zoom in a little bit, if it comes out positive, that means you can still spend that much more money and still be able to make 10%. And if it comes out negative, I just walk away from the project and not do the project. So notice that IRR calculated above told us the return on our projected cash flow was that, which was levered, and that. So intuitively, we'd expect to reduce our initial cash outlay in order to improve our rate of return. The NPV simply quantifies how much. So all NPV is telling you is by how much. We need to adjust our initial investment in order to achieve our target yield. So this is the same thing that I've got here. I just had to put in an image over there so we could look at these things. So over here, in our example, we've got 10%, at 10% hurdle rate, our NPV for the project is 508. That means it's a positive 508. That means the project is really good. That means that I can actually put another $500,000 into the project and still be able to make 10% on my money. That the project will give me 10% return on the money. And if I would look at just the equity without the debt consideration, that means that that amount of money can still go in there. So which is the remaining amount of money. So an IRR of the project is 17, but that means it's giving me 17% return for the entire project, which is debt and equity. And if I look at just my equity, that means I'm actually going to make 17.2%. Now, in my next slide, I'm going to tell you the difference between return on equity and why return on equity is 48.5% and IRR is 77.2%. And that is why, see, not all the money goes into the project in one hit. And what return on equity actually does is that it basically just a cash on cash return, and it doesn't keep anything about the timeline. It doesn't actually consider the timeline at all. And return on equity and IRR, both a measure of investors' return. However, return on equity is the total return that investors as a group receive on their original investment, and it has no consideration of the time. An internal rate of return, which is the annualized return of an investment over a period of time, and IRR is inherently a function of time. That is what's in its DNA. So that is why these numbers come out different, and IRR comes on higher. And the reason it comes on higher is because we are looking at a project. If you look at the project timeline, it tells me that all my money didn't go into the first month. It went as a period of time went by, and on a monthly basis, that money went into the project. That means the rest of the money was still in my bank account, or it was earning interest somewhere else. So it wasn't in the project at the moment at the time. And if you look at this, that's one this is. But if you just look at for this project over the 12 months, I spent X amount of money and I only got this much back, you'll see that your return on equity would fall because it doesn't take into account the time factor with it.